The Philippine Constitution, Article 15, the Family, Section 1. The state recognizes the Filipino family as the foundation of the nation. Accordingly, it shall strengthen its solidarity and actively promote its total development. Section 2. Marriage as an inviolable social institution is the foundation of the family and shall be protected by the state. Section 3. The state shall defend 1. The right of children to assistance, including proper care and nutrition, and special protection from all forms of neglect, abuse, cruelty, exploitation, and other conditions prejudicial to their development. 3. The right of the family to a family living wage and income. And 4. The right of families or family associations to participate in the planning and implementation of policies and programs that affect them. Section 4. The family has the duty to care for its elderly members, but the state may also do so through just programs of social security. Article 16, General Provisions. Section 1. The flag of the Philippines shall be red, white, and blue, with a sun and 3 stars, as consecrated and honored by the people and recognized by law. Section 2. The Congress may, by law, adopt a new name for the country, a national anthem, or a national seal, which shall all be truly reflective and symbolic of the ideals, history, and traditions of the people. Such law shall take effect only upon its ratification by the people in national referendum. Section 3. The state may not be sued without its consent. Section 4. The armed forces of the Philippines shall be composed of a citizen armed force which shall undergo military training and serve as may be provided by law. It shall keep a regular force necessary for the security of the state. Section 5. Number 1. All members of the armed forces shall take an oath or affirmation to uphold and defend this Constitution. 2. The state shall strengthen the patriotic spirit and nationalist consciousness of the military and respect for people's right in the performance of their duty. 3. Professionalism. Professionalism in the armed forces and adequate remuneration and benefits of its members shall be a prime concern of the state. The armed forces shall be insulated from partisan politics. No member of the military shall engage directly or indirectly in any partisan political activity except to vote. Number 4. No member of the armed forces active in the active service shall at any time be appointed or designated in any capacity to a civilian position in the government, including government-owned and controlled corporation, or any of their subsidiaries. 5. Laws on retirement of military officers shall not allow extension of their service. 6. The officers and men of the regular force of the armed forces shall be recruited proportionately from all provinces and cities as far as practicable. 7. The tour of duty of the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces shall not exceed 3 years. However, in times of war or other national emergency declared by the Congress, the President may extend such tour of duty. Section 6. The state shall establish and maintain one police force, which shall be national in scope and civilian in character, to be administered and controlled by a national police commission. The authority of local executives over the police units in their jurisdiction shall be provided by law. Section 7. The state shall provide immediate and adequate care, benefits, and other forms of assistance to war veterans and veterans of military campaigns, their surviving spouse and orphans. Funds shall be provided therefore, and due consideration shall be given them in the disposition of agricultural lands of the public domain and, in appropriate cases, in the utilization of the natural resources. Section 8. The state shall, from time to time, review to upgrade the pensions and other benefits due to retirees of both the government and the private sectors. Section 9. The state shall protect consumers from trade malpractice and from substandard to hazardous products. Section 10. The state shall provide the policy environment for the full development of Filipino capability and the emergence of communication structures suitable to the needs and aspirations of the nation and the balanced flow of information into, out of, and across the country in accordance with the policy that respects the freedom of speech and of the press. Section 11. 1. The ownership and management of mass media shall be limited to citizens of the Philippines and or to corporations, cooperatives, or associations wholly owned and managed by such citizen. The Congress shall regulate or prohibit monopolies in commercial mass media when the public interest so requires. No combination in restraint of trade or unfair competition therein shall be allowed. 2. The advertising industry is impressed with public interest and shall be regulated by law for the protection of consumers and the promotion of general welfare. Only Filipino citizens or corporations or associations at least 70% of the capital of which is owned by such citizen shall be allowed to engage in the advertising industry. The participation of foreign investors in the governing body of entities in such industry shall be limited to their proportionate share in the capital thereof, and all the executive and managing officers of such entities must be citizens of the Philippines. Section 12. The Congress may create a consultative body to advise the President on policies affecting indigenous cultural communities, the majority of the members of which shall come from such communities. Article 17, Amendments or Revision. Section 1. Any amendment to or revision of this Constitution may be proposed by 1. The Congress upon a vote of 3/4 of all its members, or 2. A Constitutional Convention. Section 2. Amendments to this Constitution may likewise be directly proposed by the people through initiative upon a petition of at least 12% of the total number of registered voters, of which every legislative district may be represented by at least 3% of the registered voters therein. No amendment under this section shall be authorized within 5 years following the ratification of this Constitution, nor oftener than once every 5 years thereafter. The Congress shall provide for the implementation of the exercise of this right. Section 3. The Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of all its members, call a constitutional convention, or by a majority vote of all its members, submit to the electorate the question of calling such a convention. Section 4. Any amendment to or revision of this Constitution under Section 1 hereof shall be valid when ratified by a majority of the vote cast in a plebiscite, which shall be held not earlier than 60 days nor later than 90 days after the approval of such amendment or revision. Any amendment under Section 2 hereof shall be valid when ratified by a majority of the vote cast in a plebiscite, which shall be held not earlier than 60 days nor later than 90 days after the certification by the Commission on Election of the sufficiency of the petition. Article 18, Transitory Provision. Section 1. The first election of members of the Congress under this Constitution shall be held on the second Monday of May, 1987. The first local election shall be held on a date to be determined by the President, which may be simultaneous with the election of the members of the Congress. It shall include the election of all members of the city or municipal councils in the metropolitan Manila area. Section 2. The senators, members of the House of the Representatives, and the local officials first elected under this Constitution shall serve until noon of June 30, 1992. Of the senators elected in the elections in 1992, the first 12 obtaining the highest number of votes shall serve for 6 years, and the remaining 12 for 3 years. Section 3. All existing laws, decrees, executive orders, proclamations, letters of instruction, and other executive issuances not inconsistent with this Constitution shall remain operative until amended, repealed, or revoked. 4. Section 4. All existing treaties or international agreements which have not been ratified shall not be renewed or extended without the concurrence of at least 2/3 of all members of the Senate. Section 5. The 6-year term of the incumbent President and Vice President elected in February 7, 1986 election is, for purposes of synchronization of elections, hereby extended to noon of June 30, 1992. The first regular elections of the President and Vice President under this Constitution shall be held on the second Monday of May, 1992. Section 6. The incumbent President shall continue to exercise legislative powers until the first Congress is convened. Section 7. Until a law is passed, the President may fill by appointment from a list of nominees by the respective sectors the seats reserved for sectoral representation in paragraph 2, section 5 of Article 6 of this Constitution. Section 8. Until otherwise provided by the Congress, the President may constitute the Metropolitan Authority to be composed of the heads of all local government units comprising the Metropolitan Manila area. Section 9. A sub-province shall continue to exist and operate until it is converted into a regular province or until its component municipalities are reverted to the mother province. Section 10. All courts existing at the time of the ratification of this Constitution shall continue to exercise their jurisdiction until otherwise provided by law. the provisions of the existing rules of court, judiciary acts, and procedural laws not inconsistent with this Constitution shall remain operative unless amended or repealed by the Supreme Court or the Congress. Section 11. The incumbent members of the judiciary shall continue in office until they reach the age of 70 years or become incapacitated to discharge the duties of their office or are removed for cause. Section 12. The Supreme Court shall, within 1 year after the ratification of this Constitution, adopt a systematic plan to expedite the decision or resolution of cases or matters pending in the Supreme Court or the lower courts prior to the effectivity of this Constitution. A similar plan shall be adopted for all special courts and quasi-judicial bodies. Section 13. The legal effect of the lapse before the ratification of this Constitution of the applicable period for the decision or resolution of the cases or matters submitted for adjudication by the courts shall be determined by the Supreme Court as soon as practicable. Section 14. The provisions of paragraph 3 and 4, section 15 of the Article 8 of this Constitution shall apply to cases or matters filed before the ratifications of this Constitution, when the applicable period lapses after such ratification. Section 15. The incumbent members of the Civil Service Commission, the Commission on Elections, and the Commission on Audit shall continue in office for more than 1 year after the ratification of this Constitution, unless they are sooner removed for cause or become incapacitated to discharge the duties of their office or appointed to be a new term thereunder. In no case shall any member serve longer than 7 years, including service before the ratification of this Constitution. Section 16. The career civil service employees separated from the service not for the cause but as a result of the reorganization pursuant to Proclamation Number 3 dated March 25, 1986, and the reorganization following the ratification of this Constitution shall be entitled to appropriate separation pay and to retirement and other benefits accruing to them under the laws of the general application in force at the time of the separation. In lieu thereof, at the option of the employees, they may be considered for employment in the government or in any of its subdivision, instrumentalities or agencies, including government-owned or controlled corporation and their subsidiaries. This provision also applies to career officers whose resignation tendered in line with the existing policy had been accepted. Section 17. Until the Congress provides otherwise, the President shall receive an annual salary of 300,000 pesos. Again, Section 17. Until the Congress provides otherwise, the President shall receive an annual salary of 300,000 pesos. The Vice President, the President of the Senate of the House of Representatives, and the Chief of Justice of the Supreme Court, 240,000 pesos each. The Senators, the members of the House of Representatives, the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, and the Chairman of the Constitutional Commissions, 204,000 pesos each of the members of the Constitutional Commission, 180,000 pesos. Section 18. At the earliest possible time, the government shall increase the salary scale of the other officials and employees of the national government. Section 19. All properties, records, equipments, buildings, facilities, and other assets of any office or body abolished or recognized under Proclamation Number 3, dated March 25, 1986, or this Constitution, shall be transferred to the office or body to which its powers, functions, and responsibilities substantially pertain. Section 20. The first Congress shall give priority to the determination of the period for the full implementation of free public secondary education. Section 21. The Congress shall provide efficacious procedures and adequate remedies for the reversion to the state of all lands of the public domain and real rights connected therewith which were acquired in violation of the Constitution or the public lands laws or through corrupt practices. No transfer or disposition of such lands or real rights shall be allowed until after the lapse of 1 year from the ratification of this Constitution. Section 22. At the earliest possible time, the government shall appropriate idle or abandon agricultural lands as may be defined by law for distribution to the beneficiaries of the Agrarian Reform Law. Section 24. 23. Section 23. Advertising entities affected by Paragraph 2, Section 11 of Article 16 of this Constitution shall have 5 years from its ratification to comply on a graduated and proportionate basis with the minimum Filipino ownership requirement therein. Section 24. Private armies and other armed groups not recognized by the duly constituted authority shall be dismantled. All paramilitary forces, including civilian home defense forces, not consistent with the citizen armed force established in this Constitution, shall be dissolved or, where appropriate, converted into regular force. Section 25. After the expiration in 1991 of the agreement between the Republic of the Philippines and the United States of America concerning military bases, foreign military bases, troops, or facilities shall not be allowed in the Philippines except under the treaty duly concurred in the Philippines except under the after the expiration in 1991 of the agreement between the Republic of the Philippines and the United States of America concerning military bases, foreign military bases, troops, or facilities shall not be allowed in the Philippines except under a treaty duly concurred by the Senate and, when the Congress so requires, ratified by a majority of the vote cast by the people in a national referendum held for that purpose, and recognized as a treaty by the other contracting state. Section 26. The authority to issue sequestration or freeze orders under Proclamation Number 3 dated March 25, 1986 in relation to the recovery of ill-gotten wealth shall remain operative for not more than 18 months after the ratification of this Constitution. However, in the national interest, as certified by the President, the Congress may extend such period. A sequestration or freeze order shall be issued only upon showing a prima facie case. The order and the list of the sequestered or frozen properties shall forthwith be registered with the proper court. For orders issued before the ratification of this Constitution, the corresponding judicial action or proceeding shall be filed within 6 months from its ratification. For those issued after such ratification, the judicial action or proceeding shall be commenced within 6 months from the issuance thereof. The sequestration or freeze order is deemed automatically lifted if no judicial action or proceeding is commenced as herein provided. Section 27. This Constitution shall take effect immediately upon its ratification by a majority of the vote cast in a plebiscite held for the purpose and shall supersede all previous constitution. The foregoing proposed Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines was approved by the Constitutional Commission of 1986 on the 12th day of October 1986 and accordingly signed on the 15th day of October 1986 at the Plenary Hall, National Government Center, Quezon City by the Commissioners whose signatures are hereunder affixed. Adopted.